It is indeed a very good afternoon. Thank you so much for creating time for us once again. KBC Lunchtime News begins right now, exactly 6 days into the 5th month, the year 2020. Today we have a lot that we have lined up for you, from matters COVID-19 to the floods update in the country. And the United Kingdom seems not to be doing too well. It has hit a milestone that is not very positive, surpassing Italy, having the highest number of deaths as a result of COVID-19. The same trajectory seems to have been replicated locally. Yesterday in Kenya, we recorded 45 cases of COVID-19. This seems to be a trend that is picking up because it's coming just 2 days after we recorded 30 cases, which seems to be like we are surging in terms of cases of positive cases of COVID-19 locally. Community spread is fast picking pace, according to the health CS Mutahi Kagwe. A lot needs to be done wherever you are. Let me begin this broadcast by encouraging you to do what you can to stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, and maintain social distance. My name is Safin Achieng Oma, and our sign language interpreter is Lensa Odingo. We begin straight away with some flooding updates. The adverse effects of the ongoing rains continue to be felt across the country, with some families now left homeless after flood waters swept through their homes. In Kirinyaga, 15 families spent their night in the cold after River Tana burst its banks and flooded their homes, a predicament that could be a reality for hundreds of residents in Laikipia, with waters of Gatirima Dam now overflowing. Let's begin our bulletin with that report from Caroline Kamau.
Flooding and mudslides occasioned by ongoing heavy rains are yet another headache for the government and Kenyans alike across the country, with more and more families now displaced from their homes. This is Mjini area of Kirinyaga County. Here, families spent the night in the cold after River Tana burst its banks. Residents say the waters have also destroyed their farmlands, making it that much more difficult to fend for their families.
Tungeomba serikali ya Kirinyaga County, serikali ya Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, tunaomba serikali itusaidie wakati kama huu. Tunasikia kuna janga ya corona, lakini bado hata kama corona hiko na kuna mashida ingine, tunaangalia bado kwa tumbo hatuna hata chakula ya kula.
In Laikipia, danger looms for hundreds of residents living downstream Gatirima Dam after the dam broke its banks and water started spilling over its walls last evening. This was occasioned by heavy rains being experienced in the area that has also led to Kanyuka and Getwamba dams to overflow, filling the Gatirima Dam, threatening the lives of people.
Adhali kidogo, lakini kwa saizi imekuwa wasi zaidi, na kwa sababu ya demu ya Kanyuka na Gatirima imepasuka. Sasa kwa hivyo hata hii demu nyingine tayari imeharibika na hakuna kupitika kwa saizi. Kwa hivyo jambo ambalo barabara ilitengenezwa juzi, tukaambia kwamba itakuwa mzuri zaidi hapa hivi, lakini imekuwa wazi zaidi kwa sababu ilisemekana kwamba itainuliwa juu, lakini haijainuliwa.
A team of officers from the Water Services Regulatory Board and their counterpart from Water Resource Management Authority visited the dam for a fact-finding mission and also to look into how the situation could be urgently addressed. In Busia, Governor Sospita Ojamong has called for intervention by the national government and donor communities to finding a lasting solution to flood problems in Budalangi constituency.
Tungezungumza na MCS pia, tunaenda kuevacuate watu. Sababu kuna wale ambao wamebaki kule hawezi toka, hawezi wakatembea, lazima tupeleke kule maboats.
Also, the Central Rift Valley Water Works Development Agency has expressed concern over the destruction of water systems in parts of the country by floods. According to the agency CEO, Engineer Hosea Windot, apart from flooding homes and farms, the rains have caused damages to water pipes in various counties. He said the agency was keenly monitoring the situation and has embarked on the process of assisting persons affected by the floods through the provision of water tanks.
I received this morning is a Turasha line, which is serving Gilgil town. The river, Turasha River, swept some of our pipes, which is being managed by Narowasco. So we know that's an issue, but we are going to address it. In terms of other systems, I think we've been lucky. We've been lucky as a region. We have not had serious effect on the main water systems. But yes, there are areas that we have small issues to do with water supply, but we are addressing.
Finally, the Kenya Forest Service has planted 5,000 trees at the historic Tulip Kipsigis Londiani, Kericho County as part of the efforts to reclaim the country's forest cover and ease the adverse effects of global warming.
We have been protecting it from poachers, and today we want to extend this canopy downward and ensure that in the future we will be proud to have a well-conserved hill for purposes of cultural activities in the site.
Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
Thank you, Caroline, for that update. Now, still focusing on the flooding menace in the country, we want to take you down to the western region, specifically in Budalangi constituency in Busia County. This is a place that has experienced perennial floods over the years. We have our reporter, Chola Simon, who has been following up on the situation on the ground, and he's joining us now live to give us the latest. Chola, yesterday you interacted with residents of Budalangi. How are they coping? Have they received any form of aid so far? What's the latest?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you very much indeed, Safin. We are right on Matawa Bridge, that is in Kakamega County. That is Mumias West Ward here in Kakamega County. And the river behind me is actually River Nzoia. And the locals say the louder the roar, the more destruction you expect downstream. Of course, we saw that yesterday in Budalangi constituency, the number of people that had been displaced in that region. But what we are trailing today, Safin, we are looking at the number of bridges that have actually been destroyed by this raging water from upstream. And one of the bridges that has actually been destroyed was that over Mayoni bridge, which is along the Mayoni or Mumias Bungoma route. And of course, that has had adverse effect on motorists who ply Mumias to Bungoma route. And this has been the alternative bridge. And if you can see, of course, there's an increased traffic on this route. Locals here saying that this is as a result, of course, the closing of the other bridge. And we were there in the morning, and what we saw was that the engineers were actually working on the bridge, and it was expected that probably in a week's time or so, then it will be ready for use. I would just want to put to your attention that that is not the only bridge that has actually been destroyed in this region. We were told that Nambacha, also not far away from where we are, was actually destroyed, same to Malakisi. And yesterday, locals here say, a couple of days back, locals here say that this water had actually swollen to this level, and it was actually becoming a bit scary to use this bridge. But they say the water has subsided drastically, and they are only worried that if the rains continue, then probably the water might come back again. But they remain hopeful that indeed this bridge is strong enough to try and actually hold on even as the raging floods continue. Safin, I also just want to put to your attention that the Nambacha, Mayoni, Nambacha, and Malakisi are not the only bridge that have actually been destroyed. There's also another one that's actually destroyed in Kisumu, Ayeyo Bridge, and of course just a couple of weeks back it was already repaired, and it was actually now being used by motorists. That was of course having adverse effect in terms of the money that the locals are actually using to use these bridges. As I told you earlier, from Mumias to Mayoni, locals here tell me that they were using about 50 bob just to use the motorbike from Mayoni to Mumias. But as we speak right now, they have to use this bridge and go all the way. And that has, of course, has had the effect that is reflected on the price they're actually paying. And right now they're telling me that they're paying about 300 shillings to just use this route. In Kisumu, for instance, when the Ayeyo bridge was actually swept off, a place where they were actually using around 250 to 400 shillings, the price skyrocketed from that, and it went to about 1,500. That is from Kisumu to Homa Bay County. And people, actually those who are going to Homa Bay, to Kisii and Migori, were actually forced to go all the way to Kericho before going back to Homa Bay or going to Kisii or Migori. So that is the effect these floods are actually having. Yesterday, last week, we actually had a conversation with the Secretary General of AMREF in the country, Red Cross actually in the country, and she was saying that the effects on infrastructure is immense. And we are focusing on people, but the infrastructure, which of course people are actually using, has also been destroyed. And of course, she was calling for long-term solution to this problem. So when we came here, of course, the locals were complaining about the floods, but they're also saying that there's an economic activity that they are engaged in on a daily basis. And what usually happens is that they actually harvest sand from this river. But following it is swelling, it has become extremely difficult for them to actually make a living. And I will just talk to one of the locals here who was actually telling me that it has become extremely difficult. Just be careful. Difficult for them to actually earn a living here. Naomba uniambie jina lako ni nani na unafanya nini hapa?
Kwa majina naitwa Alfred Odoru Wahu, mimi ni mkaaji wa hapa.
Wewe unajishughulisha na kazi gani hapa?
Kazi ambayo najishughulika nayo ni ya kutoa mchanga kwa maji. Lakini sasa wakati maji imejaa, imetuletea shida. Nilikuwa naenda nyumbani na ngiri moja, lakini nimerudi, huwa nakuja tu nakaa hapa na hakuna kitu chenye napata. Ukiangalia hata huku kando kando, hii mto imeharibu mmea yetu ambayo tulikuwa tunatoa pesa katika hii maji tukienda kupanda. Lakini sasa hii maji imetuletea shida. Haya, ukiangalia hii daraja, maji ilikuwa inapita juu, usafiri imekuwa shida. Imebidi watu wa kutoka Matungu, Bungoma wanakuja kupitia hapa. So usafiri imekuwa tena shida katika hii barabara yetu.
Wewe ukiangalia iwapo hali hii itaendelea, pengine mtaathirika kivipi?
Tutaendelea kuathirika sana kwa sababu sasa tuko na familia na tumetegemea hapa mambo ya mchanga. Sasa tutaathirika sana ikiwa hii maji itaendelea kufurika hii kwa hii mto.
Kama mkazi wa eneo hili, unaona kwamba kumekuwa na daraja mingi ambazo zimeharibiwa na maji. Pengine tu maoni yako kuhusiana na utendakazi wa kutengeneza daraja katika maeneo haya.
Nataka kusema ya kwamba serikali isimame na mambo ya daraja juu kama hii daraja haingekuwa hapa, usafiri ingekuwa shida sana. Hii maji imevunja daraja la huko Mayoni na hii karibu tena ingevunjika, lakini sasa kwa ajili ya usafiri wanatumia hii njia ndio inasaidia sasa hii wa Kenya.
Thank you very much. Asante sana. Of course, that is a resident of this place actually telling us what they are going through as harvesters in this region. Just probably to wind up, Safin, yesterday we were in Budalangi, and the other thing that has actually been adversely affected by the ongoing floods is actually the issue of power. We were there and we saw the Kenya Power actually doing everything they can, the staff actually doing everything they can to try and salvage transformers in that place. That of course means that that place will be without power for quite some time. So we will be seeking the views of authorities in Busia County when we move from here, so that then we can actually get to understand exactly what is going on there in terms of power disconnection. And also, we will also be seeking the views of the county government to get to understand exactly what they're doing to try and remedy the situation. Back to you, Safin.
Achola Simon for that update coming to us from the western region. He's traversing between Busia and the neighboring Kakamega County, areas that have residents who have been affected by the ongoing floods. We will be expecting more updates and even what the county governments are doing to help avert the agony of those residents. Now, still more news. At least 30 people have lost their lives over the last 48 hours due to the ongoing rains pounding most parts of the country. The latest statistics bringing to 194 the number of fatalities caused by the ongoing floods that continue to wreak havoc, with the latest advisory by the weatherman warning of sustained rains over the next few days.
As at least 23 counties in the country continue to grapple with heavy downpour, Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa says over 190 people have lost their lives as floods continue to cause death, destruction and displacement.
Zilizopita na wakati huo ni Wakenya 164 walikuwa wamepoteza maisha yao kwa ajili ya mafuriko. Sehemu mbalimbali za nchi yetu zile ambazo tumeelezwa kuna mvua. Siku ya leo, usiku wa kuamkia jana, tumepoteza Wakenya wengine 30. Sasa wale wamepoteza maisha ni Wakenya 194. 194 lives have been lost sababu ya mafuriko haya.
The rains are expected to be quite heavy, and we are issuing an advisory for the coast, central including Nairobi area, and western. Over the weekend, the rains are expected to be quite heavy. And of course, we urge everybody to listen to our weather advisory so that we don't have issues of loss of lives and property.
Wamalwa was saying the government has intensified efforts to mitigate the adverse effects of floods, urging individuals living in flood-prone areas to relocate to safer grounds.
Tafadhali kama unaishi kando karibu na mto kama Nzoia, Sabwani, mto Nyando, mto Tana na mito nyingine katika taifa letu zimefurika, zimevunja ukingo na uko hatarini wewe na familia yako. Sikiza maelekezo umepewa na serikali kuu, serikali za county, ma-county commissioners wetu na wataalamu, uweze kuhamia sehemu zilizo salama. Kwa na mvua zaidi, na hii mvua itasababisha mafuriko sehemu za magharibi mwa Kenya, bonde la ziwa Victoria, bonde la Ufa kaskazini mwa Kenya na pia maeneo ya pwani.
These, as Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i said, relocation of people living in flood-prone areas is underway as heavy downpour continue to pose imminent danger across the country.
We have given instructions this morning to our regional security team in northeastern and in parts of eastern and coast to begin moving people. As I speak to you, we have an operation in Tana River and an operation in Garissa. We are not waiting for people to be swept downstream. We are moving some people using public resources, moving some people away from danger. And that level of alert will remain raised for the next week or two until we are satisfied that we are away from danger.
Water, Irrigation and Sanitation Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki, however, says some regions in the country are experiencing a water shortage despite the ongoing rains pounding most of the country. Kariuki saying the floods menace has destroyed about 8,000 acres of rice in Nyando.
In the last 5 days, we have seen water scarcity, particularly into Nairobi via Ngedo. That is where we transmit water coming into particularly Nairobi City. We have had similar effects in Nyeri, water shortages in Nyeri town. We have similar shortages reported in Kisumu, but also in Nakuru because the infrastructure to deliver water has also been washed away. But pipelines also clogged because the turbidity of the water has effectively meant the water flowing is half mud and half water. Even as this is happening, we have upped our interventions by way of reorganizing and rationalizing the distribution of water, particularly in Nairobi.
But as we speak, permanent solution would be dams to hold the water, check dams along the major rivers, whether you're talking of Tana or Nzoia, and the dikes that we already constructed.
Information, Communication and Technology Cabinet Secretary Joe Mushero says the government has already commenced disbursement of funds to families affected by the calamities across the country through the cash transfer program.
We've also decided we will do is that for all the displaced people that we're taking to camps, other than giving them food, we are already transferring cash directly to them that they use. At the moment, they are given mosquito nets, they're given food and many other things. But if we give them cash, then they have more of an opportunity to decide for themselves how much they want to spend on what.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
That report by Jackie Wambiru takes us to our first break right here on KBC Lunchtime News. Please don't go too far. We still have more that we have lined up for you.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Laugh all you like, but remember I could always beat you in press-ups.
Sini tu personal time mnaenda kwa na rafiki yako. Ama si hivyo?
Oya, sasa utanipiga lecture ama utaniokolea?
You know, when things were tough between Paul and I kept everything to myself. That was my mistake, number 2.
What was mistake number 1?
Paul.
On the next episode of Elena's Ghost.
Well, how do you like it?
There she is. Now stop her. We have to get the baby back.
No, hold on.
The van's been following me for quite a while now. I'm gonna end this once and for all. Well, I want to give her another scare, but really serious. I want to remind her mother who I am, and to know better than to mess with me. I'm warning you. If you don't give the baby back that you've stolen, my soul will forever haunt you wherever you go.
Welcome back, and let's continue to inform you with what is happening in Kenya and beyond. Now, as the country grapples with a spike of coronavirus cases, authorities are promising to do everything in their power to curb its spread. On their part, county governments have undertaken to deploy all resources at their disposal to cushion large populations in their jurisdictions from contracting the disease. Some of these interventions include free distribution of masks and personal protective gears, especially to underprivileged communities. Have a look.
It is a race against the invisible COVID-19. Both state and non-state actors are mobilizing resources to have an edge in this war. In Garissa, border riders operating in the region were issued with face masks to cushion them from spreading and contracting the disease. The region's county commissioner, Meru Mwangi, says the government will distribute the protective gears to majority of the populations here, including flood victims, for free.
Usivae mask ati kwa sababu unalazimishwa. Usivae mask ati kwa sababu umeona askari. Uvae mask ukijua ya kwamba ni wewe mwenyewe unajikiga kutoka na maradhi. Na hii maradhi si mchezo.
Meanwhile, an exercise meant to benefit Kibwezi East constituents from a donation of soap, masks and sanitizers ended hastily after the crowd became uncontrollable. The well-wisher who had come to make the donation was forced to call off the noble exercise since the protocols put in place had been breached. In the meantime, a family in Makueni is in pursuit of justice for a relative who was allegedly attacked by security officers en route to hospital. The family says they were beaten by police as they rushed their mother to hospital at night, and their attempt to dialogue with officers fell on deaf ears as they maintained they were in breach of curfew.
Wananiambia utakufia hapa, kuja, acha kucheza, utakufia hapo. Sasa mimi nilikuwa na bleed sana, nikaelekea mpaka hospitali na wao tukivuka barabara mbele tulipata ni gari la Nation. Hiyo ndio ilitubeba ikatupeleka hospitali kwa Kalwaki. Hapa ndio nimepata matibabu.
In Embu, leaders have decried scarcity of face masks, especially for the most vulnerable groups in the county. The obtaining situation prompting the area MCAs to caution the county administration against awarding face mask production tender to one individual, but instead empower government vocational training centers to produce them. KUSNET Secretary General James Torome is in the meantime calling on Kenyans to come out in large numbers to get tested of COVID-19. Torome further expressed concern over open disregard and defiance against government directives on COVID-19, which he warned could jeopardize efforts to curb the spread of the disease.
Come closer and talk with nurses. In the counties where the governors have started mass testing, let the Kenyans volunteer and go for that testing so that you can know the status of your health.
And Kasipul constituency in Homa Bay County has received equipment from the national government to help fight the spread of coronavirus. Deputy County Commissioner Charles Were says the 3 million shillings equipment will go a long way in containing the spread of the pandemic, even as he urged area residents to adhere to government directives in the fight against COVID-19.
Identify the needy members of the society in every sub-location. Using the chiefs, we are going to distribute the food to the locational and sub-locational level so that they distribute the food to the most needy using their list.
Beatrice Getonyang-Etich, Channel 1 News.
From across the counties to now a global look, not some very good news from the United Kingdom, which has hit a grim milestone, surpassing Italy to have the highest number of deaths related to COVID-19 in Europe and the second highest in the world. According to Johns Hopkins data, the UK has 29,502 deaths, ahead of Italy at 29,315. The United States remains the country with the highest number of fatalities, accounting for over 72,000 of the total number of deaths resulting from coronavirus.
There is a grim milestone for the United Kingdom, which now has the highest number of coronavirus deaths in Europe, overtaking Italy and becoming the second highest in the world after the United States. According to Johns Hopkins University data, the figure now stands at 29,502. Meanwhile, Germany will fully reopen schools in May after weeks of shutdown imposed to control the spread of coronavirus, according to a draft agreement between Chancellor Angela Merkel and regional premiers. Germany has already lifted restrictions on religious services and allowed many shops to reopen. And United States President Donald Trump will wind down the government's coronavirus task force as his focus shifts towards opening the economy. The United States currently has 1.2 million confirmed coronavirus infections and more than 72,000 related deaths. And a new genetic analysis has found that the virus has been circulating in people since late last year. Researchers concluded the virus jump from animals to humans was very recent and ruled out the possibility that it had been infecting people long before it was identified. Meanwhile, more than 120 schools reopened in the Chinese city of Wuhan, the original epicenter of the new coronavirus, for nearly 60,000 senior school students after being closed for more than 3 months because of the pandemic. Hong Kong will also start sending students back to school this month. Some countries and regions in Europe are also beginning to resume daily life and lift restriction as the coronavirus threat begins to subside. Elsewhere, a trial is underway in South Africa to test if the BCG vaccine against tuberculosis is also effective against coronavirus, something unproven at the moment. The development coming as the World Health Organization issued a warning against people using untested remedies for coronavirus. Its statement comes as Madagascar president continued promoting a herbal tonic for treating COVID-19 patients. The number of confirmed cases globally now stands at over 3.7 million, while nearly 1.2 million people have recovered from the disease. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Badi.
And now, Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization is now calling on women across the country to engage elected leaders and develop programs aimed at sensitizing respective communities on guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. Organization's chairperson Rahab Muyu says women must play a proactive role in efforts aimed at containing the spread of the coronavirus pandemic.
As the government and stakeholders intensify efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, there are seen positive cases in the country surpass 500. Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization is challenging women to play a more proactive role. Maendeleo ya Wanawake chairperson Rahab Muyu says women are critical in the fight against the pandemic as they are custodians of families as well as communities.
I therefore today strongly call on women countrywide, Maendeleo leaders and other women in the wards, in the sub-counties, like you have always said, to be in the forefront in observing the social distancing, the washing of hands, which is extremely effective with soap and running water, wearing the mask like we all look, and only go out when it is necessary.
Muyu urging women to partner with elected leaders to spearhead awareness campaigns within their regions.
I call on members to go out and talk to other people. Maendeleo is a voice. Just before I came, I drove. I would share this with you around Masi, Mbione, in Machakos County. And I witnessed the masks. Just 25% of people had masks. And to confirm this, you saw at Masi, a sub-chief making some masks and distributing. So I'm calling on the governors to really distribute masks at the county level. I'm also calling for serious awareness.
This even as she called for compassion during the pandemic that has negatively impacted the country's economy. The organization has at the same time called on women across the country to dedicate the country to go through prayers over the next 21 days.
I call on Maendeleo women for the next 3 weeks. We go down again on prayer from 5 in the morning, all women of Kenya, and intercede for this country.
And now the coronavirus pandemic has disrupted the normal life of children who are most affected by the radical measures issued by the government to control the spread of the deadly coronavirus. For children with disabilities who have had to live with pre-existing vulnerabilities, the measures have had disproportionately affected them. But how best can we implement the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health among this vulnerable group?
On the disability that they have. For example, for some children, they have difficulty bringing their hands together, so it's important for the caregiver to initially wash their hands for the 20 seconds and then help your child wash their hand, depending on whether they're able to bring their hands together or not. You can clean each hand individually with an alcohol-based sanitizer. Now, we know that the social distancing is difficult for children who need supports on everyday care. So if you're having someone coming in to help your child within the house, they have to come in with a mask and they have to sanitize their hands as they come into their household, as they're taking care of your child's special needs. Now, the other thing is, how do you plan on continuation of care? Because your child may have an underlying heart disease, have epilepsy, the disability, or even chronic lung disease. It's very important that you keep in touch with your doctor. Do not miss your appointments, just so that we make sure that your drugs, for example, if it's your epilepsy medication, that you have those and you have enough for refills, and making sure that you coordinate with your doctor how to get that medication to you so that your child does not get a seizure. And then the other thing is about your therapies. We know that children with disabilities have occupational therapy that they're going for, speech therapy that they're going for, and even behavioral therapy. And we don't want the parent to feel the burden of having to take care of all this by themselves in the house. So it's important to come up with a plan with your therapist, whether you're going to do this where you have a consultation, where you go to see your therapist. And even there are now new ways of doing this where you can go on phone and WhatsApp videos. You can have a home program set up by your therapist, so we cannot neglect the care of your child so they do not fall behind due to this pandemic.
Human rights crusaders have raised concern over the manner in which the KARIOBANGI sewage estate evictions were conducted. The demolitions that kicked off early Sunday morning had happened despite a court order barring the Nairobi City Water and Sewerage Company to effect the planned evictions.
Wale wameathirika zaidi ni wale wakazi. Hata vile umeona pale, mama hana mahali popote pa kwenda, juu hakuwa na chochote. Anajaribu kukua kwa nyumba kwa sababu 1 curfew, 2 kuangalia slow down the spread of COVID-19. Amejiweka kwa nyumba, hata chakula hana. Kesho anaambiwa nyumba tunabomoa. Mama kama yule hana popote pa kwenda, hana wa kukimbilia. Sisi tulipokuja hapa tukawasema basi wapewe hata kama ni siku 3 tu, only 3 days. Tujaribu kuangalia how can we resettle these people in a better place, in a safer place, be it a school, because nowadays there's no school which is ongoing.
And the National Assembly is proposing that the Parliamentary Service Commission be allocated more funds in the 2020-2021 national budget to enhance service delivery in the August House. The proposal is contained in the Finance Bill, which is in its second reading. Gladys Mungai gives us more details.
The National Assembly is seeking to have its budgetary allocation increased in a move they say will enhance delivery of services in the August House. In the Finance Bill number 2 of 2020, Parliament is proposing that Parliamentary Service Commission is given powers to establish funds to enhance effectiveness of the House.
Principal object of this bill, Mr. Speaker, which I said has only one clause, is to amend Section 24 of the PFM Act 2012. And what does it do? It empowers the Parliamentary Service Commission to establish a fund for Parliament or the Houses of Parliament, that is both the Senate and the National Assembly.
Among other proposals, the bill seeks to amend the section of the law relating to insurance to specify the period within which an appeal against the Commission of Insurance by an aggrieved party can be filed at the tribunal. The bill further proposes to amend Kenya Revenue Authority Act number 2 of 1995 to include commissions earned by Kenya Revenue Authority on collections made on behalf of the government agencies, capped at 2% of the revenue collected. The bill also seeks to amend an act providing for specific timelines within which the authority can be sued to enable the authority effectively manage its disputes. During the morning session, the National Assembly also questioned what members say was an alleged use of brutal force by security officers enforcing government directives during COVID-19 pandemic.
You sit in a National Security Council. You must tell your police officers who are roguey, who want to make a kill out of this pandemic, to stop what they are doing. It is very shameful for the president to apologize on behalf of the police. How can the president of the Republic of Kenya, commander-in-chief, is apologizing on behalf of the police? The Minister for Interior is not apologizing. The Inspector General of Police is not apologizing. I mean, it's shameful. In fact,
a time that as a country we must speak with ourselves. We must look inwards and look for solutions to our problems based on our environment and our circumstances. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by talking about the health issues, because that is the most critical, the most immediate. Whereas I would start by appreciating the work of the executive, the work of the ministry, the work of the president in trying to manage this pandemic. But, Mr. Speaker, we must also tell the government in no uncertain terms that their reaction and response has been wanting in a number of ways.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Police have launched investigations into the mysterious murder of a boda operator in Ruiru in Kiambu County on Tuesday. The middle-aged man's body was found Wednesday morning amid revelations that he had been called by a client before his disappearance. Police further established that his motorbike was stolen after his execution. Nancy Okwara expounds on this unfortunate turn of events.
By emotions, bursting into tears as they could not hold the agony inside. One of their own is no more. A boda operator went missing Tuesday night, only for his lifeless body to be discovered hours later.
Hii tena tumepata janga kubwa ambalo tumepata tena mtu wetu wa boda naye ameuliwa.
He had been murdered and his motorcycle stolen. Eyewitnesses' accounts indicate that the deceased, Matthew Ndegwa, received a call from a client on Tuesday just before the curfew hours kicked in. Sadly, that would be the last time he was seen alive. The locals now calling on authorities to be extra vigilant, especially during curfew hours, to minimize the risk of similar incidences.
Tupatiwe gari ya patoro. Yes, patoro ya kutuondoa kwa barabara haitosheleki. Haitosheki hapa Katongora. Inatuondoa kwa barabara tukienda kwa manyumba, wale wengine wanakuja kuliwa hapa.
Kuanzia saa 6:30 mpaka saa 8:30. Hiyo ndio saa wanakuja wanaboga madirisha, na hata tukipiga maharam kwa kuwastua wapate, lakini bado hawaogopi, wanakuja.
Ile kafyu tunaambia iko hapa. Huyu aliuawa, wale watu wa kafyu walikuwa wapi? Askari wa kafyu walikuwa wapi wakati aliuawa? Tuna askari hapa wa kafyu. Wako wapi sasa wakati huyu aliuawa akiwa wapi?
Nancy Okwara, Channel 1 News.
For that update, now going to Kajiado County, where land buyers in the county are decrying increased number of unscrupulous land sellers who continue to defraud unsuspecting land buyers. Their concern coming amid increased cases of land sellers seeking to repossess their land with claims of being shortchanged to sell their land at cheaper prices. Kajiado County Executive in charge of land, Hamilton Pasina, says such cases are common in Kajiado County. Land wrangles are on the rise in Kajiado County, with land sellers wanting to repossess their land with claims of being shortchanged to sell their land at cheaper prices. The worrying trend has seen land buyers struggle to keep their pieces of land. Such is the predicament of Moses Narok, a resident of Nosikitok village, Mailwa, Kajiado Central, who is now caught up in a tussle over 100 acres piece of land he bought 18 years ago. The family which sold him the land wants to repossess it, claiming that they were shortchanged during its sale.
Bei ya mashamba wakati huo ilikuwa ni bei kidogo. Na sasa hii wanaona shamba imepanda bei. Manake sijaona tatizo lingine, shamba nilinunua na tukabadilishana wakati huo mwaka wa 2002.
Efforts to resolve the matter through the land tribunal or through mediation have since hit a dead end.
2016, 2017 walienda kwa tribunal. Lakini unajua tribunal haina mamlaka ya kusema hii shamba ni ya nani, hii ni ya nani. Lakini kwa sababu tulikuwa na kikao, ile kikao ya Kimasai, wazee wakaniomba, kwa sababu ni watu sasa hawana mahali waliko, niwapatie tu kwa radhi yangu. Sio kwa sababu ati nilinunua shamba kwa ubaya, niwapatie shamba kidogo.
Hakuna mahali hatujaenda, tumeenda land board, tumeenda county yote, hii county tumesunguka, wanasema tunafanya wamekuja mpaka nyumbani wakasema atarudishia hiyo shamba na hatujarudishiwa.
Hakuna mahali tunaishi ya 5 na msee 7. Tunaomba serikali ya county kwanza Olelengu na Memusi kujani niangalie sisi ni maskini sana. Hakuna mahali tunaishi.
Investors are now calling on the county administration to cushion them from unscrupulous land sellers. Clemens Kizela, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your feedback. I also appreciate those who are tuning in online on Facebook and on YouTube. We really appreciate you creating time to allow us to update you on what is happening in Kenya and beyond. And Kwame, watching from Homa Bay, thank you also for creating time for us. Now, we move on to Nyandarua County, where the Governor, Francis Kimemia, has put on notice public officers who fail to deliver on their respective mandates, saying his administration will not hesitate to terminate their services. Speaking during the swearing-in of 15 new chief officers, Kimemia said his administration will not tolerate those engaging in corrupt practices.
Do swear that I shall always and truly and diligently serve the people.
It was a ceremony to swear in 15 new chief officers, but Nyandarua County Governor Francis Kimemia will take the chance to read the Riot Act to officers working within his administration. Kimemia saying that his administration will not tolerate corrupt officials at a time when the county government is seeking to lift the region out of poverty.
So do not demand any monies from the wananchi. Serve wananchi bila kudemand any funds. Be humble, be loyal, be dedicated to and passionate to achieving the agenda of the county. Serve our people without hesitation. This is a very, very difficult time for our people.
The governor at the same time called on security agencies to investigate a series of mystery murders that have rocked the region, saying perpetrators of the heinous crimes must be brought to book.
Huyu uhalifu atakuwa na county commissioner hapa. Tumefanya kazi pamoja naye mbeleni. Huu uhalifu lazima uishe. Kama tukiona tunahitaji teknolojia fulani kutoka national government, hata iwe ni kuongea na rais atusaidie. Yeye pia ni gavana namba 1 katika hii county. Hiyo lazima hiyo uhalifu ishe katika hii county.
Nyandarua County Commissioner Boss Cherutich saying that they have already invited a homicide detective to help unravel the mystery murders,
particularly in those affected areas, to share relevant information with these officers so that we can be able to arrest these criminals. I know we are able. We can work together, support the police officers. We should be able to create a conducive environment so that our people will continue to live without fear.
Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
From Nyandarua, I now take you to Nyeri County, where residents have raised an alarm over the piling up of uncollected garbage and clogged drainage system across most parts of the county. The problem seems to have escalated in the recent times following the closure of the main dumping site, following a standoff between the county government of Nyeri and constituency leadership. They are now calling on the county government to speed up the cleanup exercise of areas that have been affected, as well as close open sewer lines to avert a possible health crisis.
Anatoka hapa kwa hii uchafu anatuingilia kwa nyumba, maumbu, uchafu zote kama vile mnavyoona. Haya, hii mitaro angalia ni mitaro ya kupitisha maji, lakini yote imejaa takataka. Hakuna mtu anakuja kutoa huku kote, angalia. Sasa hata hiyo majanga tunaambiwa mavirus, hata sijui tutajiepushaje. Kwa maana hata pengine hiyo corona iko kwa hii takataka. Unaona? Saa kaunti yenyewe hakuna kitu inatufanyia.
Mvua ikinyesha, hii maji inaingia kwa manyumba. Na ikiingia kwa manyumba tuko na watoto. Nao watoto wanagojeka juu ya hiyo maji. Juu hii maji imeshaganyika. Hii ni maji chafu na imeingia kwa nyumba. Na una la kufanya. Na ukishukua huyo mtoto umpeleke hospitali juu amegojeka juu ya hiyo takataka na hiyo maji imeingia. Hakuna dawa, hakuna kazi, ati utapata hiyo pesa ya kununua hiyo dawa. So tuko na shida. Tungeomba tusaidiwe na kutengenezewa hii mtalo na hii barabara na kuondolewa zile takataka.
Ile kitu tulifikiria ati tunaweza saidika kama wangeweza hii kitu watutolee hapa na katika hapa Nyeri tunajua tuko na sub county. Kila sub county iwe na dump site yake.
And in the world of business, mass media and entertainment conglomerate Walt Disney has taken a $1.4 billion profit hit in the first 3 months of the year as it closed its park, cancelled movie releases and reduced advertising sales. Every part of its business has been affected by the coronavirus, nearly wiping out profits for the quarter. Details of this and other stories in our Global Business News Roundup.
Said the firm was facing unprecedented challenges but is confident of recovery. The firm is already planning to open its Shanghai park on the 11th of May. But the park's business was hammered by the closings, accounting for $1 billion of the $1.4 billion hit to operating income as the firm shuts its parks in Shanghai and Hong Kong in January, in Tokyo in February, and in the US and France in March. Its cruise lines have also suspended operations. Chief Executive Bob Chapek said the company will take a phased approach requiring advance reservations to limit attendance. It said it will require health measures such as masks and temperature checks. Meanwhile, Lufthansa is locked in crunch talks with the German government on the terms of a rescue deal as it fights to avoid bankruptcy while keeping the state influence at bay, which has been brought to a virtual standstill by the coronavirus pandemic. Lufthansa declined to answer questions from shareholders regarding details of its bailout discussions. It, however, said last week that the Swiss government had agreed to guarantee 85% of a $1.5 billion loan package for its Swiss carriers. The group also owns airlines in Germany, Austria and Belgium. Still in aviation, airfares should fall when the flights restart, but then rise by at least 50%, warns a global airline industry body. Airlines are keen to get planes back in the skies quickly, which could lead to an overcapacity, says the International Air Transport Association, IATA. With passenger demand likely to remain low, this should put pressure on carriers to reduce the cost of flights. But if airlines are forced to keep middle seats free, they'll need to raise airfares significantly. Under current social distancing proposals, airlines may be required to keep middle seats free, which will have a major impact on the profitability, as they will be forced to fly with fewer passengers. IATA estimates that only 4 of the 122 airlines it sampled will be able to break even under these conditions, leading to consolidation in the industry. Raising fares is inevitable for carriers to remain commercially viable.
All right, we are taking a second break right here on KBC Lunchtime News. We are coming back with some sporting action. Don't go too far. And remember, you can continue to engage us on social media at KBC Channel 1 and at Safin_Acheng. We take that break now.
Na nikuulize, kwani mtu akiwa live apeagu pesa?
Nataka uendanishe na Chris, umzindikishe. Wacha nibaki hapa nikiongea kama
wafauru hata iko hata koda kibarua sitaonana.
Hebu jaribu keti hapo.
Kai Kamau, neke.
Habari Chris, umeingiaje hapa ndani?
Unajua mtu hizi sema huo mnatumia 300 kwa siku 4.
Ni kama tu mtu hizi sema unalipia kwa nyumba na bibi yako.
I found out that my father is in Patliputra.
How did you get to know about
Acharya
it?
Chanakya told me, but he is not telling me who.
They killed your grandfather, you know, and they set your hut on fire.
I've learned how to please the authority in order to use the power in my favor.
Acharya Chanakya cannot hide the truth in front of Emperor Bindusar. Do you know who my father is?
Yes.
I must tell the truth to His Highness.
James King watching us on Facebook all the way from South Korea. Thank you so much for creating time for us. Allow me now to cross over to the world of sports. And we begin straight away. Former Togolese international Emmanuel Adebayo insists that the African Footballer of the Year award should only be handed to players who are based in Africa. Adebayo, who won the award back in 2018 during his spell at English Premier League side Arsenal, hit out at CAF for awarding Liverpool duo of Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane the past 3 awards. The 36-year-old feels that there is little effort in recognition of African-based players because no player has won the award, the coveted title, since its inception in 1992. Senegalese striker Sadio Mane won the 2019 title after beating Liverpool teammate Mohamed Salah and Manchester City's Riyad Mahrez. Mane won the title after helping the Reds to the 2018-2019 UEFA Champions League title, scoring 30 goals in all the competitions that season. Right, and the English Premier League side Manchester United is yet to decide whether it will allow England international Dean Henderson to extend his loan spell in Sheffield United. Henderson has enjoyed a magnificent season, keeping 10 clean sheets and earning a call-up to Gareth Southgate's full England squad. With discussions continuing over a return to Premier League action next month, the Blades are keen to learn if Henderson's year-long loan can be extended before June 30th when it runs out. Under the tutelage of Chris Wilder, Sheffield is one of the 4 teams with 10 league games left to play, as their fixture against Aston Villa was postponed due to their appearance in the Carabao Cup final. Thank you so much once again for creating time for us. We've come to the end of our bulletin right now. My name is Safin Achieng Oma, and our sign language interpreter has been Lensa Odingo. Have a lovely afternoon.